Good evening, everybody. I have an image of the human body up on my screen, and I was going to do a reading on hallucinogenics and how they relate to spiritual progression, as people are really, it seems to be relatively popular these days. So one of the drugs I was going to look at, or the chemicals, is Cambo, the frog venom that gets burnt into your skin. The other one is ayahuasca and whatever else comes up. So let's just see what happens in the human body when one takes this. We can get a display possibly from the pendulum and just get a feeling of it. All right, so let's get going on this. Okay, so it's interesting when the pendulum comes up to this image that you can actually feel that it is, there's no life in this picture. There's no persona or personality there that's being worked with. It's just a lifeless picture, and it's a very different feeling, very interesting. And yet we'll still get a reading what we want here, so. Okay, so we just want to put out there Cambo, ayahuasca, these hallucinogenics. Let's first start with how it affects the body. Okay, so so it's going around the circuitry or the naughty system in the body and just showing that it is indeed going to affect all of that. So it is a systemic process with these chemicals, and this is, known when people take it. They like that part of it, some, but okay, so going to the heart, so it will affect the beating of the heart in some ways. You can see the heart beating out. It's going to affect that. There may be palpitations or irregularities there, and some of these can be very long lasting and even fatal. Okay, so in terms of the circuitry, we're going now to the nervous system and things. And you can see the shaking, these tremors that can come up, as well as feelings of being flushed. There's just, it's like the body is plugged into a whole different power system and just gets a flood of this energy or power source, and which again is what people are looking for. However, it is going to cause all of these changes in the electrical system that's just going to go very wacky, really. You can see that and feel it, it's like, whoa. So that's part of it there. And so in terms of the brain, this is something that's interesting, because when I was in nursing school, I learned that the fattiest part of your body is not your butt, it's actually your brain. And a lot of these drugs, these hallucinogens, are fat soluble, which means you don't flush them out. And so they do remain in the fat cells in your brain, and they will move around. They just can't be flushed out. They will accumulate. This is why flashbacks come to people that take LSD, acid. So this is part of the nature of some of these chemicals, and just something to be aware of. And as you can see some of the people that took acid and things in the 60s, a lot of it, they just are not really with it. If you meet them now, many of them, and even ones that smoked a lot of pot, there's just something, it really does alter your brain chemistry permanently in a way. And people, they don't care at the time, probably the ones that take this, but it really does. It's just something to be aware of. People think that a lot of the marijuana is so harmless. It really can be very, very potent and have long-lasting consequences in the body and the brain functioning especially. Okay, but in terms of the brain, so let's just put out there, okay, ayahuasca, Cambo, LSD even, what does it do to the brainwave activity? So let's just watch the pendulum for a while here. Okay, so it feels, you can really see that it is going all over the place. There's nothing smooth about it. It's going very skewed. It's going in circles then, and then, coming forward and skewed again. So it really has no any pattern that's smooth, as was said, any good natural rhythm to it. It's just all over the board. And this is why it's really showing that these meds, these chemicals can bring out, they're just so unpredictable. And that's really part of the makeup of these chemicals. You just have to be very careful with this stuff, or just better to stay away from it at all, completely, really. And also the pendulum comes out at a distance, just showing that the experiences are going to be way out there. It just, there's nothing in it really, from being like a nightmare to something that's feels really good, but just all over the board. Okay, so again, it's just showing that. Okay. And then also with the brain, it's going to light it up so one can have visions and a whole lot of things. But let's see, is this actually something that is going to bring about any spiritual progression or anything lasting in that way? No. So, really, because it's just not, grounded in the absolute. It's not grounded in surrender. It's not grounded in the heart. So it's really not going to have anything lasting. And so people call it spirituality. What it really is it's just changing the chemicals in the body to bring about these experiences, which has nothing to do with spirituality, truly. So this is not the way to go in that way. But in terms of health, so we can see if there are some health benefits to these chemicals. And there is a small yes. So sometimes there can be, but is this worth it? I mean, is it better to go in another direction to try to get some health, clear toxins and all of this? So there's a better balanced way to go other than using these chemicals. And some of the spirituality, though, that may come from this, I mean, there are, like Native Americans or people that have lived their life in that culture, have made the connections, respect nature, open their heart, all of it, have the connection to spirit. They may use some of these meds or chemicals, and it is indeed, it's okay for them. It's part of their lifestyle. But then the ones that just go for a thrill ride, no, you can see right away the pendulum is saying no. And do not have any of that background, that history, those practices in place. It's just not a good thing, and in fact can be fatal. Yeah. So all in all, really, it is not beneficial to use these. And let's also see, what is the normal, let's get a feeling of the normal feeling, if the body, a normal, healthy, calm body. Okay, so you can see the flow is nice. It feels calm. It feels smooth through the system. There's nothing interrupting it. There's nothing jagged. And then coming to the heart, it's just got a nice feeling. So there's nothing really obstructing it. It's calm. Again, it feels so different and calm, as well as the brain. So let's go up to the brain. Okay, so that also just has a calm brain waves, it's just not, as you could see before. And also the pendulum is hugging it up close just to show that, the experiences aren't way out there. They're normal human awareness for the most part. And this is what the feeling is, which is so much better feeling, really. So, okay. Anyway, a little bit of science tonight. And the reason why I brought it up is we just were talking, there was someone that had gone to a remote area and got this Cambo experience, and they died. And this person was looking to really wanting, to progress spiritually and, whatever. At least people say that, but it was fatal to this person. It's very dangerous too, and it really will just give a rush of something and not tend to last. And if indeed it does help with your health, you do need to keep taking these things, keep administering them, and they will build up and be very detrimental to the body. So all in all, let's see what the pendulum is saying. Is this a good thing with these drugs? No. Okay. So it sounds like it's not worth doing this. Yes. Again, if you're one that's just going for, a one-time experience or whatever, it's just better to try something else. Stay healthy, okay? All right. Have a good evening. Bye.